Hey, how you doing? Alrighty, let's get on this. Let's get a moving and a grooving. We'll get on to our game that we normally do before we start. There we go, 17. Let me get a sip and then we'll get it started on this. Okay. This is, he played the Mislo Gambit. Probability probably no other opening. Demonstrate so crafty the value of rapid development. That was from Marshall himself. So D4, or E4, E5, Bishop C4, pawn takes, Knight F3, pawn G5, and then Bishop C4, pawn G4, There's also a good decision that could be played. As you said, Bishop is a good one. Also, pawn H6 is a more aggressive, but a little more risky. It's aggressive, but a little bit more risky. The H6. This is more in tune with preparing for this attack here. So I played knight. Oops, sorry. Right there. I believe that this move, first played by the great MacDonaldwell, is stronger than castling. Pawn takes knight. Queen takes pawn. And then D5. Black is a piece ahead but very much behind in development. Therefore, he gives up a pawn in hope of fashioning his development. Note that if he played queen to rook 5 check, it would actually be a mistake here. This would actually be a mistake. Is pointless after G3. And if pawn takes, which is a double question mark, losing. Queen to, let me see here. Hold on, let me see. Would lead to mate and actually two. Bishop takes, and then mate. So D5 was played trying to get speedy development. Knight takes the pawn. A good alteration is actually bishop takes pawn, bishop C6, bishop to B4 or B3, and bishop to E6. Bishop takes bishop, pawn takes bishop, and then queen to H5 check. Or you could play queen takes, and this actually is better for white. Surprisingly, it shows the engine says it's better for black because black's up a piece, but activity is a lot more pleasant at this point for black, for white. I mean, So knight takes d5. Hold on. See, even though he's a whole piece up, the positional mass amount of white, because white has more development, white's going to be able to cream black because he's going to destroy him. And there's actually the queen to sorry, the queen could take f4, the knight could take f4, and even the surprising d4 is playable. And so there's a lot of play there. So queen to f6 to try to hold on to this pawn. C4 or C3, and then now he'll try to get D4 and then E5 and just squeeze until there's no end. In order to be able to castle without having fear of queen to knight, queen to their check, White had to actually play this. It's kind of funny. So bishop to rook h6. Bishop at e6 is actually a losing move. White has a problem. Has a promising game with knight. Knight takes. Wait a second. Hold on. Did I do something wrong? Let me see here. That is strange. I think let's see, takes, okay. The knight takes pawn. Oh, snap, I had the queen move. It's not the queen move. It's C6. That's funny. That's funny there. F takes. Oh, knight takes the pawn. So yeah, this makes more sense. And now, bishop G's right, and then this. Otherwise, he has an attack. So now we got this. This makes more sense. And then bishop to pardon me. Yeah. Now we can actually talk about the bishop e6 because otherwise the queen is hanging in the other one. I should have seen that. That's funny. The knight takes. Pawn takes knight. Queen takes queen. Knight takes. And then bishop takes the pawn. White has 3 pawns for the piece. And he's good to go. He's saying that potentially, though, black could try check on h4 pawn. There's g4, queen b2, and then queen to e7. And basically, white, it's equal. Even the engine believes it's equal. Okay, so pawn d4. That allows for this bishop to protect the knight. Knight to e2, e7, and he's trying to bring another attacker in to g6. So castles, castles. Knight to d7 was also a playable move here. It offers an interesting continuation of knight to h5. Exclaim. Queen takes, rook takes, bishop takes, knight to g5 check, g7 check, I mean. And this actually is a plain old blunder here, if you're wondering. It's actually mate 9. There's your mate. But you could just gobble everything up first. And so the 3 pawns would come into play. Okay. Knight to d5 is an exclam move. Knight takes knight. Queen takes queen. Knight takes queen. Bishop takes. A rook to bishop takes rook. King takes. And then e5, and white actually black actually resigned here because there's really no way to handle this. Let's see, where are we at here? 14. If we tried knight takes pawn, loses after bishop takes rook, and then knight to d. King takes bishop. Then bishop to e6 check. Knight takes rook. Rook takes knight check. king e2, e7, and bishop takes. And at this point, we're 2 pawns up, and another pawn's about to collapse. So if he plays here, and if he tries that, and if he tries here, actually he might try, he might want to play there to hold on to this pawn. That might be better. And so you want to keep, you don't really, and then you always have this here. If he tries knight there, you always have bishop, and now this rook's going to be trapped. And he'll have to somehow get out via there. Then you got these pawns that can start rolling up the board. What he's saying after e5 here too, we're going to go, this is the next spot that he talked about. Because e5 has a purpose of doing something. It sets up, this knight has to move. When the knight moves, f7 becomes vulnerable. So knight to d5, bishop takes the knight, pawn takes bishop, and then, but now e6 still is a issue. So knight b6, and rook takes, pawn check. King to knight, king to g8, and then rook b6. Oops. Sorry, not that. A rook b6 here. We want to hold on to our pawn here, our baby. King to knight 2. And then the a1 goes to f. And this is actually easily winning now, because there's no way to stop this from coming down the board. He doesn't have enough time. He could potentially try to bring the knight in. But then after you push, there's not enough. I guess you could play bishop. So maybe rook f8 is actually best at this point, because that actually holds on to this. Because if he tries to play bishop takes, you actually get a whole rook. So the bishop's pinned. So in theory, this pawn, the knight has to move, and then you could actually push via in. And still, there's really no way to stop this. He could try h, and then he turn it into a queen. Knight takes, and now this. He could try this, but and you're up a whole rook, so you're totally done for. So we'll get into our next section. Let's do it. We'll get into doing our puzzles. And so then we'll go over the puzzles. and I'll ask that you help out, my friends, and then we can get onto our end game and have some fun there. That'd be a lot of fun. I can't wait to get to the end game. But you gotta do your puzzles every day. I like to say a puzzle a day helps a chess player win every way. Because then they'll know how to handle the positions. So that's just a rhyme I thought of. Let me make sure we have this too. 3, 2, 1, 3, 3, 2, and 3. Hey, how you doing? That's funny. I've met a lot of GMs that don't say that they're GMs because otherwise, what happens? It intimidates people, and so it's one of those things that you want to kind of be like, when you're teaching, you don't really want to give out your title because I just go under Chess Cruncher. I don't usually talk about what title I am because it would make people nervous, and I don't want to make anybody nervous. So that's why I don't usually give out titles. Hey, how you doing? Oh, you made it just in time. Perfect. You made it just in time for puzzles. Chess 360. Wait, this is our first one out of the 12. This one should be right there. Yep, you got her. There it is. Nice job. Great find there. Oops, hold on. I did that one. It's on the wrong one. That is funny. Oops, hold on. I gotta clear the board. I was on the wrong one. Do do do. Man, these have become pretty straightforward, haven't they? Let's see, is there anything else that you can do here? Let me see. Any other mates? Let's just take a quick second to see. Yeah. Was just seeing if there was any other mating ideas. No, no. No. Mm-mm. I don't see any. I think that's it. Well, we're only in number two. We're on number three, so the intensity might heat up. So we'll get to see. No, I just so that we have enough time on the podcast, stay to so we can do all three of our things like a Marshall game, and then a game, some puzzles, and then an end game. I do 12. So let me see here. I want to make sure I have this right. Boom. There we go. I believe that's right. I'll be right back. Let's see here. So rook g8. It takes. Check. Mate. Take. Yep, they both mate. Just had to get that right. Well, this is a straightforward one. This should be like, yep, we got it. One. I like what we like to say is a walk in the park. There you go. Yep. Boom, boom, kaboom. There you go. I think he's giving us a reprieve from a lot of the tough ones, which is kind of good. There we go. This one's in your face too. Yeah, you got it. First one is this. That's the first mate. Then after here, if it comes there, there's the second mate. Also, there's a knight g6 mate. Don't forget the knight g6. There's two knight g6 mates, and then there's a queen. There's actually, nope, that's only 3 mates. That's mate. There's two knight g6 mates, so yay, we're doing good. We may be able to put an extra amount of time into some endgame, because we're just going through these like Swiss cheese. Do 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 do. Two knights. Dude, those are two good knights. A rook and a bishop. There we go. 2, 1, 3. Whoops, I forgot the Black King. 2, 1, 4, 1, 2, 2, 1, and then 3. Got it. Okay. There's actually 2 mates here. A queen, I don't know. I think he can actually block with the pawn. I think I was looking at potentially queen takes c. I was looking at queen takes c4, and when the king takes, then you have check. Yeah. Yeah, so, and then if he takes with the pawn, you have bishop checkmate. If he takes with the pawn, you have bishop checkmate. Yeah, 2 bishop checkmates, I believe. Yeah, well, I think those are the 2 checkmate, or 3 checkmating lines. The king takes, the pawn takes, the pawn takes. I think those are it. Yep. I don't really see anything else that we can do. I think that was a good one. That was a fun one. Oh, so 2 bishops. Wow. Let's see, 2 rooks, 1 there, 1 queen here. Oops, bishop there, and bishop there, and then right there. He's up a piece here, but you know what? You can be up a whole piece if there's mate. It don't mean nothing. Yep. It don't mean anything if it's check mate. Well, this one's a pretty interesting one. This one's really interesting. I think you'll get this one. I know you'll get this one. This is a really interesting. This is a really interesting one. Let me see if I have the knights right. Hold on, this one check or the rook. Hold on, sorry, rook in the wrong spot. Hold on. Red alert. Rook in the wrong spot. I don't know how that happened. That was weird. Now you should solve this one. It should be a walk in the park. Yep, there it is. The first walk, and then the final circle around, and to the car we go with checkmate. That was a fun one. I really enjoyed that one. I like those sacrifices ones. Those teach you not to be materialistic, but go for the knockout. Okay, 3, 2, 2, 1, 3, 2, and then 3. There we go. Yep, that's a good one there. There's mate. There's the other mate. Let's see, 4, 2, 2, 1, 1, 3, and then 2. Perfect. Okay. Let's see here. Yep. There it is. Kaboom. And then we'll do after this one, after we get these done, then we'll do the two that you have or one that you have for puzzles. Because we're after this one, we only have 2 more. Then we'll have our puzzles for the day done. That I try to always do 12 on here, and then we'll have time for our endgame too, endgame studies, which will be loads of fun. 1, 1, 1, 1, 3, 3, and 1. Okay, or 3 and 2. Okay. Got it. I know what it is. No, that's not it. Well, no, yeah, I think I got it here. I think I got it. Yeah, we got it. We got it. It just was, instead of up, it was over. Now, this should be, this may be a little difficult, but I think because of how good we're studying, I think it'll probably be a walk in the park again for you. They have to all be forcing. They have to all be forcing moves, so that limits it to a couple. I always do the three forcing moves: checks, checkmates, captures, and then pieces that are on pre. Excuse me. Sorry about that. If you need any help, just ask, and I'll give you a hint. It's a queen move. It's a queen move for white. It's a queen move. So I think you have it right with the first queen move you put in there. The first queen move you put in there could be right. The first one you put in there is right for the queen move. Oh, I was thinking that he could come here and then we set up mate, but you're right, he could block at that point. Hmm. Let me make sure I put it in right. Knowing me, I could have done a what? No, that's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. 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 Huh. There we go. It's all right. So this is right. I have to kind of configure a little bit of our plan there. Huh. Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. There you go. Me too, a little bit. So, it's right though. It's mate. I found a mate, but it only works. It's mate in 3 instead of mate in 2. So we gotta do the right checkmate. That's the truth. We gotta do the right checkmate. I have to put the pawns in after this. Gotta put the pawns in. And then put the kings in. And we should have it 1, 1, 1, 4, 1, 3, 1. Okay. This should be a walk in the park too. This one should be a walk in the park. In a real game, let me see. Find. Yeah. Yeah, he goes, yep, there you go. There you go. You got it. And then after pawn takes, you have checkmate. And then if you go up, if he goes up to d5, you have checkmate. Yep, it's checkmate no matter what. One more, and then we'll do your puzzle. We'll do the 2 puzzles, and then we'll get on to our end game. It's not looking too good for black here. His entire army is offside. It's like, what are they doing? What are they doing? Alrighty, so I'll mark the next ones. It's gonna be a little bit, but we'll eventually get into mate and 3s. So it'll be a little bit on the puzzles, but we'll get to mate and 3 eventually. And then I don't know if he has one on mate and 4, but I know he has mate and 3 puzzles. Let me see. Wow, we have a long ways to go. I might switch it up tomorrow and maybe do some mate and 3s as well. Would you like to switch to mate and 3s and then like one day mate and 3s, one day mate and 2s? Would you like to do that? So the rook h8 one doesn't work. Well, we have a long ways to go before we get into mate threes. Pretty long ways to go, let's just say. Mate there. We have like around close to 2,000 more puzzles we gotta do. Over 2,000 plus more puzzles. Yeah. I looked at it. We're on puzzle, let me see, number, we'd be on 625. It's, we get into mate threes on 3,000, let me see. We would arrive at on 3018, and then we go 3018, and it's mating two. It'd be mating threes then. So we'd have to do around 3,000. I think 3,000 something more puzzles. So I think we'll probably mix it up a little bit. We'll do like one day mate threes and one day mate twos, and we'll just go back and forth. And then what that'll do is that'll make us have to and actually we solved the puzzle, so you can post yours in. We'll post the two in, but we'll mix it up a little bit so that we don't just get into a routine of just mate twos. It'll kind of be like a fun mix up. No, it's not strict. It's not strict on following. Not that I can see. Let me see here. Let me see what he says. He may. I don't think it is. I don't think he is strict on it. No. Let me see here. Just let me do a quick read. Okay, hold on. I'm just taking a quick thing to see if he has anything in here I'm reading. He doesn't say anything about skipping around. Doesn't say anything about skipping around. Not that I can see. No. Doesn't say anything. So I think we'd be okay doing that. I think we'd be okay skipping around. He says they help you become grandmasters. And I would say so because his three daughters ended up becoming grandmasters, and I would say that the program does work. So that's why I do his chess puzzles, Father Pogart's chess puzzles. Yeah, I think each page has six. So if we do six mate and let me see. Yeah, even do they have six mate threes? Yep. What we'll do is we'll do so we could do a page which is six mate and twos and six mate and threes. We'll mix it up. And then what I'll do is I'll start with I may start with mate and threes one time, and then I may start with mate and twos, and then we'll have to kind of. You want me to tell you when we switch, or do you want to figure it out? Because I can say like we're switching to mate and threes if you'd like. Oh, what do I mean? Well, I could kind of like say we're done with mate and twos, and then I could say we're going into mate and threes, so then you can get your mindset set around mate and threes. Or I could just, after we're done with mate and twos, go to mate and threes and kind of test to see if you can see the mate and threes. It's up to you. Sometimes grandmasters do that for their students. They'll switch. They'll go back and forth, and they may not tell their students. Do you want me to tell you when we switch to mate and threes in Father Pogar's book? Probably we'll do that tomorrow. Because I could do that. That's probably what I'll do. Otherwise maybe I think that might be confusing. I'll do that. I'll say when we switch because I think that would be a little confusing. You'd be looking for mate and twos at that point, and I don't think it would work in that scenario. You'd still be in the mindset of mate and twos, and then you wouldn't see the mate and threes. So I think we'll just do that. We'll just have it so that I'll tell you when we switch, because it's puzzles are supposed to be fun, and I know there you have to work at it. Yeah, probably he may have a puzzle like that later on in the mate and threes. He might have a puzzle like that, and it'll be a mate and three. But I want to make the puzzles, fun and instructive, and I don't want to make it like it's too much. I don't want to make it like work. I want to make it fun, and so I'll tell it. Well, I'll tell you my chess cruncher friends when I switch, because it's all about fun and learning. It's not about guessing if it's a mate and three or mate and two. We want to build our calculating skills. That's what it's all about. Let's see here. Okay. Hey, chess is as Gary would say, chess imitates life, and even type of fields in school like law school. They have a lot of MCQ books that say tactics and strategies at the front of them, and so it does a lot of legal stuff is chess orientated too, because they found that chess helps 15%, 10 to 15% of your grade increase. So chess and school have a lot in common. see here. I'm trying to see, how do we, can I make this any bigger? Nope. Okay. Let's see if we take, nothing. Because takes, and we really don't have anything. So quiet moves, let's see here. If it comes out to protect this, we play bishop takes, and if bishop takes, we turn into a queen. So I'm thinking that this is the move here. And then he could try coming over here. If he, then we just do a waiting move. And if he takes, so I don't think that's it. So maybe is that it? F4. There's better. Oh, wait a second. There we go. Forgot about you can block in the bishop. Yep, we did good there. Alright. Sometimes you gotta, as on Aragon, put aside the ranger and actually see what's truly there. From the Lord of the Rings. Let's see. Analyze. Another pawn one. me see here. I'm thinking it's this here. He takes. Is that right? Yeah, because you have to actually stop it. You have to actually, you have to buy, basically you're buying time so he can't play this. If you tried pushing right now, he can push, and then push, and then play F5, and he stops your pawn from queening. So you're actually buying time. F4 buys tempo. It buys you one tempo that you need so that you have enough to push. Otherwise, he would love to have that one tempo back. And he has to take, because if he doesn't, it's going to lose anyways. He doesn't have the ability to play bishop c5 because you can take it. And if he tried coming back, it's too late. So if he tried like this, it's too late. He can't get back in time to stop it either. So, and even if he tries something like this, you could actually take, and if king takes, he still doesn't have enough time to get around to stop you. He's one move too shy. So there's no way to stop that pawn. Even accepting the gift. Alrighty, let's hammer into our endgame studies. Oh yeah. Okay, dokie. Did we already? Oh yeah, we were gonna do this one here. Okay, gotta make this into a study. This one second. Ah, okay. So it is. Okay, this is a game between. Oops. That's black. Drat, it's black to move. Oh boy, I gotta change it to black to move. It's just doing that if you wanted to look the game up yourself and just take a look at it. There we go. Okay, black to move. You're black. What move would you say is a good move, an exclam move for black? I'm giving you the reins, my chess friends. You're black. I have to actually turn the board. I'll flip the board for you. There you go. You're black. What would be a exclam move? Think outside the box. I'll just give you a little bit of a read. Queen and pawn endgames are not notorious and difficult, so in the interest of making his life easier, black must consider the very forcing what move? Very forcing what move? Black must think of the very forcing what move? Because he actually says in the book, in the thing, and I didn't want to do that. It's an exclam. Almost. That you have the right piece. Right piece. I'll tell you that you have the right piece. Yeah, you have the right piece. Think one move. Think of a different move for that piece. But you have the right piece, so I'll give you that. Like on Mastermind, how they say you have the right color, wrong square. So kind of like that. I loved Mastermind. There you go. Kaboom. Yeah, there it is. Nice job there. That was stellar. The very forcing Queen F3. When it's clear that in the ensuing king and pawn endgames, both sides will eat each other's pawns up. Eat each other's pawns. After a deep count, it might seem that each side will promote with resulting queen and pawn versus queen endgame. Isn't that what black wants? Or is it something else going on here? Something else going on here. It turns out that this idea is a dead win. But the decision can only be made if black notices a slight advantage of the end along the forcing sequence. This is a move forcing sequence. This is forcing, so this has to come to pass. First takes. White must have. See, this way it says white doesn't have much of a choice. If he tries queen to h4, king takes b3, is hopeless. If he tries king c7, queen takes check, is even worse. And if he tries queen g1, queen h3 is actually checkmate. So mate is worst of all. So he has to actually take. So G takes, King takes, King G, King takes, King takes F3, King takes A, King G4, King. What is okay, I'm gonna give you a minute or so, and I want to see what king move here would you move for white that's winning. What king move here would you move would be for white that's winning? There's one king move that gets an exclam. One king move gets an exclam for black. One. What is that king move? For black. It's for black. White already moved king G4. This is a black to move. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because what you have to remember is when he goes up 2, the new square is right. You got it. Getting out of the way of the A pawn is simultaneously preparing to stop white's pawn with his king. So F4, King C6, King G5, King D7, King G6, A4, F5, A3, F, A, F, and then King to E7 is why is I wanted to ask a question. Why is King E7 winning? Why is King E7 winning? I'll be right back. I wanted to ask you that question, and you can kind of give if you want to, a slight reason for why King E7 is an exclam move. Why do you think King E7 for black is an exclam move? You got it. If he goes king g7, he actually forces queening with check, and that actually wins on the spot. That wins on the spot. Let's see, how are we doing for time? I'm going to see if I have enough time for one more. Ah, perfect. We have plenty of time for one more. Congrats on finding that. And being able to explain it too. Nice work there. Such trivial from messy position to suppose the secretly of a king and pawn endgame can be a blessing or a curse, Jeremy someone says. In the fact of the following, white has to decide whether or not to leap into the unknown king and pawn waters. In this game, white avoids the king and pawn endgame and took a walk down the wrong path. White did. So what would you think that white played that went? What move would you think that white played here? This is a game, and I'll tell you who the players were. Those are the players. What would you say white played that? He didn't enter a king endgame. So what would you play if you didn't? Yep, there you go. That's right. He took a walk down the wrong path with knight to d7. The real question concerning the position is whether concerning this position are, is the king and pawn endgame worth considering after knight takes if he played this? But actually he played a different, Jeremy Silman had him play a different move. Right, let's go back. Oh no, don't tell me, is it lagging on me again? There we go. There we go. He had him play a different move, but this is what I suppose was played. And we have to consider is D takes, it's a question mark, is this worth going into a end game? It's a mistake. If white retains the knight, who is better and why? The king upon endgame arises after Knight takes E. Oh, come on, not lag yet. We don't want lag. No computer lag here. Come on. Thank you for your patience with my computer. Sometimes and the internet sometimes gets rebellious. But give it a little bit of time and it'll come back. I'm hoping it will. Okay, reconnecting. We're reconnected again. Nice. And then G4 proves to be extremely interesting. That's what Jeremy Simon said. It seems White's plan of creating a passed E pawn and H pawn, which would be unstoppable due to their distance from each other, would give her a full point. Like D4. If back here, if he rather than this, if they tried F5, that would actually be this would be a double question mark blunder. This move would have been a double question mark blunder, because then G5, and there's no way to really there's a way to stop the 2 pawns, so this doesn't work. So D4. Now H4 was played, followed by F5 and H5. Boom, up the board they go. And black must resign. It is really that simple. Of course. Is it really that simple? Question mark. Like he's asking a question. Of course not. It's a pawn endgame, and that means there are almost always surprising resources lurking behind the scene. So let's take a look at this. He's saying that they didn't have to go D4. You could actually play G5 here. This could be played. A bit of analyzing makes it clear that this is a fail. It fails to takes, and then King E6 or E7, H4, D4, H5, King F8, H6, King G8, G6, King takes G, and then E6, and there's no way to stop both these pawns with just the king. It's all over at this, and it's resignable. Can black try what he's saying? What can black try here? He's saying that F6 actually is an exclam move here. This is the only move that would hold. E6, King E7, F5, King G5, and it's an equal position at this point, which means it's a draw. Are we on to something? Suppose white chops off the pawn after E takes. and then king to f7, then g5. This paints a nice visual picture, but it's only a draw after d4, because king e2, king c3, king d3, and king to e6. Black c pawn is also it can't really do anything, because if it tries to push on, if the king tries to come over here, the pawn runs, so it's kind of trapped. So now what we have to look at is after f6 here, what's white's best response? And of course h4 is an exclam for white, because what he's saying here is that after takes and f takes e, he has a winning idea of let me see. Yep, king e7. We have a winning idea of h5, and white has acquired basically a win, because we talked about this in the Jeremy Silman setup. He doesn't have enough time to get over here. If he tries to come like down here, this goes, and if he tries to come back, this would happen, and if he tries coming here, this would happen, and if he takes, then there's not enough time for him to get back. We learned that if it was on the if it's on the fourth rank here, black would have enough time. If the pawns were on the fourth rank, black would have enough time to gobble one and come over and grab the other. But because the pawns have acquired the fifth rank and they're 2 squares apart, there's not enough time to stop both. But if it was on the fourth, like we went over, and I think it was chapter 4, that the pawn section, that it's a draw. Let me see here. So there. Yes. He says, let's take a final look at this position right here. It turns out, can you find a double exclam move for black? There's the saving double exclam move for black that actually saves the game here. Double exclam. Black to move, double exclam. Yep, you got it. That's the double exclam. That's a brilliant move. Congratulations on finding that. That's really hard to f takes e, f takes e, then king d4, and king f7, king c2, king g6, e, and then king to g7, and it's an equal position at this point. There's no way to stop that equality. And after the pawn push. I am wondering though if he plays there. Let me see. Comes there, takes. Yep, he can actually stop. If you're wondering if king here, if pawn here, he can actually come there, pawn there, he takes, we push, and then the king comes into e7. So there's no way to win in this position now. It's a complete draw. Game changing. And then let me see. They're also saying if e takes f6 is a double question mark blunder. That's a blunder. Because h takes and black wins. And now we're looking at if h5, g takes, e6, f3, h, c3, check, and then king c2. And this king c2 gets an exclam move. f2, king h7. Oops, sorry. Turns into a queen. Turns into a queen. King e7. And then queen to c8 is actually another exclam because it protects the pawn. And if queen e2, this is black's only chance. And what eventually could happen is he could take the pawn with the king here, and if he tries to check and do stuff, it's potentially a draw here. Because he could actually win via there. There's also one more line after this. If f takes g, f takes g, black wins if he reaches the following key position. Oops. Let's see, f takes g, not h takes. Oh, f takes g here. And if black plays here, oops. Black actually wins here. Whoever moves loses. So if white is to move, then it's winning. I mean, if white is to not move, which would be black, it's winning. If it's white to move, then it's losing for white. So if he, whoa, oh, holy ravioli! I'm sorry, I got this all muddled up here. There we go. Now we got it. And now that it's white to move, it's losing, because when he goes king c3, king e3, king c2, king d4, and black's pawns will be like a tidal wave. But if black like played instead of this move here, let's say he played back, and then we got to play the move here, then he came up, and then we moved, and then it was black to move back, h6 would be played, king h8, g7, king g6, king g8, e3, actually e5, sorry, e3, f6, e2, and then h7 is checkmate. Return the arrow to analysis above. It turns out that, let me see here. The king c3 and king f7 h5, what in the world am I, what are we, hold on, what are we doing? Hold on, just let me take a second here. Oh, okay. Trying to figure out which one of these. Let me see. It's the king to move, and if he goes king f3, I'm thinking. Let me see here. It can't go f2, so it must be back here before all this. So. So king c, okay, king c3 here, this is it, okay. King f7, h5, gotcha. e4, there we go. King d, and a4, G6. Gotcha. Now we're all on the right track. King G7. A3. King F6. Exclam. And King G7 is an exclam too. G5, King G7, and white possesses the fatal move as a result of the loss of time. White now has to actually make the move. Wow. So it turns out that white can't do more than a draw the king of pawn endgame against the confirmed setup here. All king and pawn endgames are confusing, he said. Instead of returning to our prior diagram, we expect an experienced player would quickly look over the mess that we just explored, then refuse to make the exchange, even if he it wasn't able to ponder the king and pawn endgame depth. Why would he make this decision? Because it shows he obviously has the minor piece endgame play idea. White has a huge advantage with no risk whatsoever. So let's go back. White played king to C1. We're promoting that to the variation. White fixes the C pawn on C4 and ties down black's bishop to the defense. So the only move that the king could play is king G7. What we have to look at is moving towards the middle doesn't help. So if he tried actually going this way, if we try going E, it doesn't help at all because G4 gets played. And if king F8, H4, king E7, if H5, pawn takes, king F, H6, and because now we have a knight, there's no way for him to really, his king's neutralized, and we can actually potentially win this with a 1 endgame. He's actually trapped. The king is trapped. And so it's kind of in like a Zugzwang position. So if he plays, any move he plays is actually losing here. So if he tries A, we play here, and he has to, basically if he moves the king, the pawn goes, so he can't do that. If he moves the bishop, like something like this, this pawn goes, and now he has to worry about here. So potentially here would be a better idea. So not be got trash that here, and then takes, and he still has to worry about the king coming in. So he plays there. And we played H4, which is actually an exclam move. It's an exclam totally to the max because he's getting ready to play G4, and this one pawn move stops here because what would happen is we can actually take at that point and be up a pawn. So this not only gets white's king majority mobilized, but it also stops G5, G6 in its tracks. All counterplay, 0. Sorry, my friend, we deny you any counterplay. G3. So you know what? Now we have this monster. It's like, hello, welcome to my camp. And G7. and now white has many ways to win the game. She can take her time and play the fixer move, a3, and that gets rid of the ability for white to basically attack the pawn. Or she can go for a king and pawn 1 endgame with knight takes if she wants to. So she can actually play here to get it off the diagonal of the bishop, or she can go into a king and pawn endgame where f5 is played, and this is far superior than the king and pawn position we have entered earlier because of how far advanced our pawns are. Let me see here. So she also has the she can actually go g5 if she wants to, and after king f8, knight d7, king e7, knight b6, and when this can't be stopped. So if he tries, let's say, going back here, this can't be stopped, and the king it's a 1 king and pawn endgame because this will eventually have to go. And what could happen too, oops, if he tries coming over here, or just wins there and tries to force something like that, if he takes here, you have actually potentially, I'm thinking, we wouldn't want to do that, that's losing, sorry, h5 is losing. We just move up here. If he plays there, if he plays here, we actually could take the opposition. And then we can actually come back at this point and then do, as we like to say, king in the chicken coop. Or fox in the chicken coop, sorry. And then he comes over and he gobbles and then he gobbles. And you get a queen. After looking over the game, the world champion candidate Yasser Seirawan said, "My thought process would be that if the king and pawn endgame was closed, white would start the march with king to c3, like what we talked about." Go back. And in order to get his king and pawn endgame that she wanted by handcuffing the d5 bishop to the c4 pawn, as a black's passer, white advances her king to potentially g4, g5. And gets the potentially like h5 in there. If after she allows, let's say she says, "Oh, I don't really much care about this over here," after all this trades, potentially she could come over here. This is another type of setup here. Takes, and then here, if you don't really care about the king side, you can come up here and then play this, and after takes here, kind of be a drawn game, but it'd be more drawn at that point. So you got to be careful that you really can't neglect that. So you can't really come over to that side right away. So you have to remember to play for this side here, and then after this pawn's gone, then shuffle your king over. So always calculate the endgames. Note that Seirawan made it clear that he would have no interest in entering a closed position with the position of strengths. In other words, why take risks when you can step into a king and pawn endgame on your own terms? Highly favorable terms at that. We've seen players of all strengths having trouble correctly basically analyzing some very complex king and pawn endgames. However, it is, let me see. Hold on, I think I lost my spot. Okay. However, it's not uncommon, there we go, for even the world champion players to botch positions that would be well within our range to solve. Our next game between the legendary Makhvinic Norodov and the world contender Henry Kwa Mekalin is winning for black, but he doesn't come close to the win. Something like that. It's like, we'll have to reread that tomorrow. We'll take that and do it tomorrow, because this was a pretty massive one. So we'll call it on that. Did you enjoy the end game? Did you enjoy the end game setup? Instructive? Yep, there we go. I just want to make sure that everything is good. Okay, do you have any questions about this endgame though? It's kind of a really interesting endgame, to say the least. I gotta say, it's like, hello, you gotta make sure. I'm learning to the T to make sure when you enter endgames that it's not just, half-heartedly you enter it. So do you have any questions on this endgame or anything? Okay. Well, then I will say adieu. I wanted to thank y'all for logging on and participating. You know what? The Lord is great. He's given me a gift to be able to teach, and I enjoy sharing it. I've had a lot of great mentors, grandmasters, teachings, and you know what? I get to learn from a really great teacher as well, Jeremy Silman, and I get to share it with you. And you know what? That's the best. The Lord always says to be a teacher is a great honor. So I'm very honored to be able to teach you, my Chess Cruncher friends. This is we're a family, the Chess Cruncher family, and our goal is to help with improving each other's chess training, and that's why I share what my grandmaster teacher taught me to get me where I am, so that I can share with you to improve, and with your goal of going for Grandmaster. It's worth it to do that. So if you desire, or I am, or however far you want to go up, don't stop. Keep pushing forward always. That, like in Meet the Robinsons, never settle for second fiddle. Always go for the first place. So it is worth it to go for the ratings, because then you can give back. And the interesting thing about I don't know why it is, but a lot of grandmasters have to always put the GM on their stuff. I think, in my opinion, it intimidates chess players. That's just my thing. And then they don't talk to you as a person. They talk to you as like a grandmaster and all that stuff. But you know what? If they've earned it, I understand, and it's hard to, you know, to go through all the games, all the stuff to do it. And you know what? We have to also remember though that we have an obligation. The grandmasters, all the grandmasters out there, have an obligation to the next generation to show them, like Reinfeld and Horowitz and all the grandmasters of old that wrote the books. I think it's a shame that a lot of these super grandmasters, in my opinion, don't write a chess book or something that they can give back to the chess community. I can understand why. I believe that this is just my opinion. That I think they're concerned if they did that their opponent would buy their book and then find their weaknesses and all their thoughts and stuff. Well, with chess engines out there anymore, that kind of thought has been done away with. Because what you're basically doing is finding subtle nuances in chess positions anymore. So playing style is kind of you still have a type of style. Like Gary has an attacker style, but he used engines. He was kind of like the first. Anon and Gary were the first to really dive into the engine generation, as I like to call it. And they wrote some really good books. If you're interested in, Gary wrote some good stuff, and all the grandmasters that do write, you should find a grandmaster that really fits to your style, my chess cruncher friends, and learn from their games. And make sure though it fits yours. If you're like a positional player, you probably would like a Karpov, or even Kramnik is kind of a semi more, I'd say about 60-40 positional player. He does do some attacking, but I'd say he's more positional. So that he'd be probably a good one to study. And if my teacher started me on a lot of Wesley So's chess games. Wesley So is a really he is really good at the basics. He doesn't complicate a position. He goes right in, and if he sees a win, he does the 1-2 KO punch. He doesn't, as I like to say, cat and mouse if he doesn't have to. You know what I mean? And I like those type of grandmasters that do that. But what we have to remember is we become what we think about. So if you think positive thoughts and you think you can go for your title and you think you can do, be number one in whatever division you're in, go for it. Don't stop. Honor the Lord with your talents that the Lord's given you. And remember that practice makes perfect. That's why Bruce Lee said that he didn't fear the person who practiced 10,000 individual kicks. He feared the person who practiced one kick 10,000 times. So like when we go over our end games, and we're probably going to, even after we're done with the book, we'll go over the ones like the end game course, and we'll just go over them and talk about them. And I might even just open the book to those points and just read from them, because we already have it put in, and then it'll be a refresher again. And it'll be like the practicing that Bruce Lee said. And we have to take what we know, then apply it to the board. So knowing is not enough. That's what Bruce Lee's saying. He says you can know all the end games, but unless you can take it and do it like, remember the chart that we talked about, the flow chart for end game? Unless you could take what you've learned, put it into a flow chart, look at it and say, this is a winning position if I go into the end game, or it's a losing position. You have to be able to be able to see that the combinations that we went over. And then he says, willing is not enough, you must do. So you can be willing to do something, but unless you do it, then it'll only be an idea in your mind. Remember, we always have to put on our Grandmaster glasses So remember that grandmasters don't check their grandmaster glasses at the door. They put them on when they sit down and they're ready to rock and roll on the board, chessboard. Every long journey begins with one small step. So our small step is every day that we study and you log on and spend time with Chess Cruncher, and we go over a game, and then we do puzzles, and then we do 2 more puzzles, and then we do our end game. You're improving and getting better every day. Remember to treasure your victories. So always treasure your victories, but remember to learn from your losses. That's what Tom Thumb Thumb told Tango, is the more you learn a lot more from, it sounds counterintuitive, you learn more from your losses because you get to find out where you're weak, and you get to find out how you can fix that. And sometimes the only smallest thing that you have that's your weakness is you over pushed. Sometimes you can see, I over pushed. I need not to, if the position is drawn, I need not to push. I need just to say draw, move on to the next one, on to the next game. If rather than losing, it's better than to lose. Draw is better than losing. And then learn from your losses, and remember that mistakes do not define you. And remember that when you go over your game, your ego and pride will say you're bad and all this stuff. You know what? Put that aside. Remember that mistakes do not define you. It's how you handle the mistake that defines you. So if you take what you know, even if it's a loss, and you take it back and you learn from it, and put aside ego and pride, you'll learn so much from those games, and then maybe you'll get blessed enough to face the person again, and you'll be able to win. And then you can use what you learned from your game and improve. And you know what? We have to always do what the Chess Cruncher community does. Don't give up, knuckle down and get up. And then what we also have to do is one thing. We always got to hang up our coat. We got to hang up our hat. And we got to sit down and study when most won't. A Chess Cruncher does. And that makes all the difference. And remember to honor the Lord always, and Jesus Christ mainly. And we see, and as Wesley So says, through the Lord Jesus, and as I say, God bless, and I'll see you next time on Chess Cruncher TV. Have a blessed morning, afternoon, evening, and Lord willing, I'll be on tomorrow, and we'll keep pushing forward and improving. Thank you for listening to this, and if you like what you've seen throughout all Chess Cruncher, the community, click follow and join us tomorrow. And I appreciate you listening all the way through to what I'm saying. I'm just sharing with what my teacher taught me, and I want to give back to the chess community. Hoorah, great job. And always remember what Hannibal Smith said. You need to think what your opponent's going to move before they even do it, and then have a plan based around that. Go Team Chess Cruncher, 2 thumbs up. Keep studying and always chess crunching. I'll see you tomorrow. Be blessed. And always remember, honor the Lord Jesus. Bye-bye.